All right. Hello, hello. Welcome, my dudes, to the third episode of The Grind. We have a special guest with us today. It is me, and then, well, I'm not the special guest, but me, Keith, here. Hello. And then we have Jaren as well. Jaren, say
Hello,
hello.
guys. What's up?
And then we have Seanb with us today. Sean, if you want to say hi.
Hi, everybody.
Yeah. So
Yes.
hopefully you guys have checked out Seanb's stuff. I linked to his channel in the last cast. We're gonna kind of do a little interview today. I want to talk to him. Well, not just me, but I'm talking for myself here. I want to talk to him a little bit about his life and his changes with his move and where he's living and all the things he's doing. And then also we're going to talk about RTA. And I know Jaren's got some questions as well. And I think we only got one question from people who listened to the last cast, but we will ask that question also.
What was the question? I'm curious because I didn't see that. What was it?
Yeah, it was well, obviously a question for Sean, but what your favorite Vietnamese food is, if you wanted to answer that one right away, Sean.
Oh, it's beef noodle, but it's not the one that you see everywhere around the world. There's like variation here, and yeah, it's like from the middle part of Vietnam where they cook beef noodle in a different way, and it's really, really nice.
How do they cook it different? I'm just curious because
A different cut of meat and a different type of noodle. Like the texture is very different and create a different flavor.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
That makes sense.
That makes sense. And can you really only get it that way, like back home? Have you found it anywhere else? Like, have you gone to like a Vietnamese food place somewhere else and been able to get it? Or
they do have it, but it's not like the main focus because people focus on like the other beef noodle that everyone knows about, and they try to sell it. Yeah. This is more of like more specialty-ish kind of thing.
Yeah. So while we're actually talking about noodles, this is an interesting thing that happened today. I learned that not all noodles are the same, and not from Sean. So my wife made chicken noodle soup tonight, right? And she laid out like 5 different noodles and was like, "Babe, what noodles do you want in the chicken noodle soup here?" And I was like, "Noodles are noodles. It doesn't matter.
No,
pick a noodle."
There's so many kinds.
And there were like bow tie noodles in the chicken noodle soup, and I started eating, and I was like, "What is this? This is not right. Why is this happening?"
You could like put macaroni in it, right? You know that not only are there different things noodles are made out of, but like noodles are also just like named after their shape in a lot of ways, or
Right.
in a lot of cases.
Yeah, and I knew that, but eating the bow tie noodles with the chicken noodle soup, it felt like.
Have you ever done like? I'm sure you've done macaroni and cheese, but it's like shells instead of macaroni, right?
Oh yeah, that's the only way to eat mac and cheese, really. If it,
I don't know.
Is your wife Asian or Italian?
Neither, actually. She is actually. I don't know her heritage. I think it's like a bit of. And we talked about this like last week. So if she listens to the cast, she's gonna be like, "I'm gonna get an earful. Let's just leave it at that."
She's gonna be upset. You don't know anything about her.
We were literally talking about it last week because we were talking about the DNA test thing you can do now with your family to kind of get your heritage information, the 23andMe or whatever is what it's called.
I mean, she's just really white. That's how I describe your wife.
Caucasian.
She's very white.
Yeah.
Hi Grace. Okay. So, so life stuff. Sean, you just moved back to Vietnam 4 weeks, 5 weeks ago. My time frame might be off, but not too long ago.
Around 5 weeks ago.
And I watched your video on it. You're streaming on Twitch again, right? Did you get around it being banned or am I off on that? Are you streaming on Twitch?
Yeah, I'm streaming on Twitch right now. There was this major football league going on, and people were just streaming it again on Twitch. So, the ISP wasn't very happy about that. So they just included Twitch in one of those like banned websites for illegal streaming.
Okay, wow.
And the league is over, so the ban is over.
the ban is lifted. Wow, when I saw that video and you were talking about Twitch being banned and like moving back home and like whether it was like a big mistake or whether it was going to be awesome and all your has any of that settled? Are you feeling more confident, more comfortable? Are you
things are going okay?
Yeah, okay.
Things are going pretty okay. So I moved back to work for this esports team as their social media guy, content creation guy, like help them produce video and just advise them on like YouTube streaming, Facebook, all that stuff, and also stream more on my own, create more videos for you guys.
Yeah.
So it's been pretty interesting. It's been a pretty, I would say, risky move on my end, but I guess you gotta take some risks sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, and I really liked your reasoning behind it. You know, like how you were working, you know, 9 to 5 or whatever, and then you were coming home and like having your second job, and all day at work you just couldn't put your heart into it because you were thinking about, you know, YouTube and gaming and content and videos, and that, like, I mean, that really hit home for me too. I've had plenty of jobs where I don't want to be there, you know, every day, and you know, my head's thinking about a ton of other stuff, and that. I think it was really commendable, you know. I mean, whatever my opinion's worth, like I thought it was really awesome and, you know, and brave of you to like move back home and follow like your dream, like quit, like you said, right, quitting a job in a, you know, a country with like a better currency to move back home to take a job for less money with like, you know, a weaker currency and like the big risk there. But like, I mean, at the end of the day, right, you got to be happy and you got to go for the things that make you happy, right?
Definitely. I would say not a very practical move, not a very logical move on any levels.
Yeah.
No parents will approve this ever. You know, I told my mom and she almost want to kill me, that kind of thing. So,
Yeah.
And I still doubt myself all the time when I take a shower, you know, when
Sure.
you're in your own thoughts and be like, what the fuck am I doing now? Wait, can I cuss here?
Yeah. Of course. Like it's,
Yeah.
you know, it's marketed as family friendly, like, but you know, we can say the fuck word. It's fine. It's not a big deal.
But still, you gotta do something that you feel right at the moment, right? I don't want to regret it like 5 years down the road when maybe YouTube is not a thing anymore, and I'm like, oh, I should have done more on it or whatever.
Yeah. Well, and I mean,
Well,
you know, maybe not with the same company, but I feel like obviously you're employable, you have marketable skills, you have tons of skills. Your videos are great, whether it's for gaming or for YouTube. Like, those are transferable skills. The things that you do, the, you know, the casting, the talk, like, you know, there's a million different ways that you can, you know, continue on into the future. I think even if this particular move doesn't work out, I think that it's, you know, I mean, you got to live with yourself. You know, you got to live with yourself in your life, and I think that, you know, I think it's awesome for sure.
Thank you, man.
yeah, and this is coming from a guy. I'll tell you a little bit about Keith. He's had 2 pretty big moves here in the span of what, 3 years, Keith? Is that right?
Yes, 3 years.
You know, doing what he loves. It's actually how we met. He moved to where I'm from, in Arkansas, and we actually played a different video game. But how's the esports? I can't even think of the word. The community, I guess. How big are esports in Vietnam?
The scene?
Yeah, the scene. That's the word.
Esport for PC gaming in Southeast Asia in general is not that crazy, but for mobile gaming, it's freaking insane because it's easier to play mobile games because there's no barrier to entry in terms of hardware. You can play it on any phone right now in the market. So esport team, esport league, esport organization in Southeast Asia is booming like crazy. Leagues are growing everywhere. I see every game, Mobile Legends, Arena of Valor, PUBG Mobile, like so many competitive leagues and scenes and teams that is going on and on and on nonstop. And it's getting bigger and bigger. Like the most recent one that my team was in, the Arena of Valor, which is like League of Legends mobile version. The live view for just Southeast Asia alone was like 150,000. Wow. It was crazy. And then that was just Southeast Asia viewers. We're not talking about world viewers, and it was just crazy.
I mean, that's wild to me that like mobile gaming has such a draw, you know? Like, I mean, I've always played PC games, and I've always kind of, until Summoner's War, honestly, I've always kind of seen phone games as like something to do for an hour and then set my phone down and you
play
know,
real games, right?
Right. Like I know that sounds really elitist or like gatekeeping, but I mean, legitimately, not only has my opinion changed by playing Summoner's War, but by seeing all these other games taking off and all these other, you know, things that people are super excited about that are just like, you know, mobile only. And I think that's a really good point. You know, there's no barrier to entry hardware wise, and you know, you can pick it up and play it whenever, and they're like kind of geared toward that kind of stuff. So it's really interesting to see that stuff take shape, I guess.
and there's no like everyone can play this, old, young, woman. There's like a huge female fan base for the team I'm working for. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean that's something
because they play the
don't
game
see much
too.
either,
Because it's a mobile game.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, exactly, and it can appeal to different audiences, right? They can build the games and they can make them in a certain way and market them a certain way, so that it's not just the traditional gaming audience that gets in there. So it's interesting. I like that a lot.
Yeah,
I guess my next question is, I mean, it obviously it sounds like you're doing a lot more YouTube stuff. I've noticed you've been releasing a video almost like every day, and they're really high quality. And then it sounds like you've been working a little bit more with your team, or is it your team? I don't know what to refer to them as. Your company, your job.
You guys, I guess you can say team. Just say team.
Yeah, your team. And then, but yeah, I mean, what are you excited for? Are you working on anything right now that, I mean, and it can be something that we know about, it can be something people don't know about, but is there something that you're really excited to be doing or working on, or something you're going to be, doing soon or releasing soon? Just like what's in the future for you that you're excited about?
For me, when I do YouTube or streaming, I always want to have that little more complicated creative project on the side, so I can just keep working on it while I do those dailies, like let's say guild battles, RTA, or guys, or whatever, right? But there's always this one project going on the side, and the one that I'm wanting to make right now is like Summoner Sword 2018 Rewind, kind of meme parody-ish funny videos. But it's gonna take like a lot of editing and like look back the entire year of all those special events going on and what is a good highlight for the entire year, and just put that in like, let's say, 3-minute video. And this kind of thing, it's good for me because it gives me creative motivation for this game, and not just like, oh, let's have a guild battle today, yay. It's fun, but on the other hand, it's not too creative to make, and you want to make something that's for you to feel good at the same time as well, right? But it takes a lot of work, and it's definitely not worth it compared to just make another guild battle video. But I definitely want to make something like a Summoner Sword 2018 Rewind, so that we can look back and laugh at all the shit that happened in the game and whatever,
Yeah, I mean, I like that. I think that's a really great idea, and I think you do like a really good job at it for sure. That brings up just a random question. Actually, I didn't write this one down, but like, have you ever, I mean, as a content creator, have you ever given thought to like a community channel for Summoners War where people like submit clips of stuff? Like, is there one of those out there? I know that, like, this is just going way off the deep end with this question, but I know that, I've never found a community channel like that, and I know there's a lot of ones like that. Summoners War has a community. Who does that?
There's a guy from Philippines who does like RTA highlights for people, so we would just submit clips to him.
Okay.
I wasn't very happy with that guy at first because he was just like clipping every YouTuber video and just put it in his video and not credit a single person.
Yeah.
So I was like a bit pissed at the guy.
Yeah, that can be
just like going around stealing content and just like make that kind of highlight. I'm like, what the hell, man? Like he'll credit once and then he'll not credit the next 5 videos that he make. I'm like, what do you mean?
Has it gotten better, or is he?
But now he's like a community channel where people submit RTA clips to him all the time. I noticed. I wanted to do something like that, but it's too troublesome when people submit clip. You need to go through everything and filter everything, because not everything you submitted is good. Let's be real, right?
Yeah.
People may think that, oh, this comeback is crazy, but watch it. It's like, wait, what's so crazy about this?
Yeah, right. It's a Theo procking once and killing you. Like, you die anyway. But
yeah, I see this every day. What do you mean?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, okay. I mean, that I know I kind of went off the deep end there, but
so I wanted to do something like that for like 3 episodes, but I'm like, oh my god, it's too much effort, man. And like, it's hard. It's just really hard, and it takes too much time.
Yeah,
not practical to keep doing it.
That makes sense, definitely.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. I did a lot of video editing where I actually, for my high school, I made like a senior rewind video to sell at the end of the year with a friend of mine, and I mean, we had, gosh, probably 60 hours of video footage by the end of the year, which we edited as we went. But when you think about all the time that goes into editing, just 60 hours of video, and I'm sure with you and the stuff that you do, you probably have 60 hours of video from 1 month of being a streamer and a YouTuber. So there's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot.
That's crazy, right?
There's a lot to go through. a lot to do. But if you end up coming through with that, I look forward to it. I know that those are the kind of videos I enjoy personally, just being able to look back and see stuff. So take that for what it's worth.
Definitely. Okay, so let's break off a little bit. We'll come back to you. I mean, you're an interesting subject, but I want to talk a little bit about RTA as well. And I mean, specifically focus on mid-game stuff. Do you run into this a lot, Sean? There's a lot of people, even in our limited experience with the community, a ton of people are like, we don't care about RTA. We don't play RTA. We don't like RTA. I get in there's too many Mo-longs in my placement matches, and I don't want to play RTA anymore. Like, is that, to me, that feels like an attitude thing, right? Like, how do we break down the walls? Like, how do we let people know? Because, I mean, you don't have to be, in my opinion, you don't have to be in Guardian to have fun. Like, I'm literally Fighter 3 right now, or I was at the end of the season, so I'm not good. But there's still something really satisfying about like counterpicking people on your level. The matchmaking system can be messed up and biased, but I mean, you go in there, you come up with a plan, you come up with a comp, you ruin your units the way you want to do it, and I get in there and I have fun. But what do you think we can do to change people's mindset and then let them realize that RTA is fun, right? It's fun, isn't it? You have fun with RTA, don't you? Am I the only one?
Like half the time. But your attitude is the correct attitude, I must say, is to build an arsenal of unit of your own and then just counter picking people and win them. It's more satisfying than winning a stupid AI that do exactly what you planned it out to do, right? Because it's another guy on the other side also being very angry when they lose to you, and you feel satisfied about that. It's like, ha ha ha, in your face. So after the previous season, when I got G1 and I got it with the deciding match where I used Gany Hathor and just shit on that G2 guy with non-stop sleeping. It was so toxic, by the way. I feel bad doing that, but I'm like, whoops, I have the unit. Sorry to you. So I just deruned Gany Hathor altogether, and okay, let's look at this RTA thing without Gany Hathor. At some point of the time, I don't even use Okeanos and Wusa anymore. I just derun them altogether.
Wow.
So I run up all the things and try to deal with people with other ways, and I realized that it's not that crazy to go into RTA if I can still maintain C3. Not say G1, but still C3 with a bunch of other options that most of them are given to you. Like John, Tessarion, Fran, Rukuni, Garo, Draco, all that stuff. And one of the things that I learned from this experience is that it's not about what you have, but it's not about specific units per se, but it's about what kind of roles they can fill in the strategy overall. So let's say you are running immunity strategy. How many immunity unit do you have? What do they do? What do they provide beside immunity? You can identify that. Then you can identify what do they counter in the current meta. Like let's say enemy pick Molong. What immunity unit actually counter that kind of pick? Oh, a Will Shield, Triana, or like a Will Harmonia kind of thing. So I can just... So when you get into that mindset, you start thinking, okay, I have 2 attack bar buffer. Can I outspeed them? When I outspeed them, what do I do after that? So when you start thinking about it, you start having a current strategy for yourself and certain roles that your unit can fill. So when you're talking about crowd control, definitely Gany, Hathor, Oki, Varad are very popular. But how else can I do it? Can I use my Dark Sylphid? Can I use my Tyrone? Can I use my Charlotte? Do they perform the same amount of CC? And how do I ruin them? Okay, people are running Stripper. What Stripper do I have? Can I use Soha? Can I use Aquila? Or what kind of single target Stripper do I have? Can I use Chilling? So when you start thinking into that mindset, you start building different unit that fill certain roles that people use in RTA. Because when you look at it, it's just, okay, crowd control, immunity. It doesn't matter whether it's Nat 5 or Nat 4. It's still crowd control versus immunity, or bruiser versus anti-death mechanic like Vanessa, Triana, whatever, Garo, So it's not actually a battle between units. It's actually a battle between certain strategy like CC, immunity, bruiser, whatever. So you start thinking about it, you start looking at your box differently, and you realize that, okay, I have this certain group of unit that do certain things. Maybe I can try to use them and fight into RTA. And when you win with non-meta unit, it's even more satisfying, and you feel even more interested into RTA. That I beat that Molong, Gany, Hathor, Wusa with my stupid Triana, Joan, Bakuni, Theo, Tessarion, whatever,
Right.
I mean, I love that, and
yeah.
that's one of the things. Jaron, do you want to go first? Actually, if you
Yeah, yeah, that was,
go on.
he gave a lot of stuff that's really good to talk on for sure. And it's stuff that we've talked about. We did 2 cuts of last week's podcast because of the snafu that we had. So I don't remember which one made it in, but we talked about how the units have multiple roles and everything. And I know, it's been internal discussion too. And so it's interesting when you start looking even at like the RTA list that we linked in our last podcast. Like there are multiple units with multiple roles, and it is that way because they fit the strategy for the metas like Sean was talking about. Crowd control versus immunity, and you also have like skill resetters like Ganny, Oki, Zeros, and stuff like that as well. So it can be a lot less intimidating once you break it down like that. I think for people to actually look at their box and be like, you know what, I do have a Soha, I do have a Garo, I do have a Mav. Like, he has cooldown time reduction, he has a speed buff. Yeah, and like, Mav is like an early unit that people build for Toa, but I've never seen him in RTA, but he could definitely fill that role if you come up with a comp for it.
I think Mards maybe has made some videos with Mav. It's like his favorite unit. But yeah, I mean, I agree with everything both of you said. And there's, for me, I'm still, I guess that it leads me to my question. I'm going to say a couple more words. But the question I'm gonna, if you want to think about it a little bit, Sean, the question I'm going to end up on is, when should people start doing RTA, right? Like what level of progression, how many units, runes, is there a metric? Should they start right away? Whatever. But yeah, like for really quick, just before you answer that question, and I'll restate it because this is weird that I asked the question and then I'm still talking. But I love the sound of my own voice. For me personally, like, I mean, I'm a free to play player, as in I haven't spent money on the game, and I'm still using meta units. But a lot of the time, I can relate fully to that idea of that you're expressing of like using non-meta units and winning. The same concept of like, hey, like I'm going to get up against people who have clearly spent money on the game and to beat them. And like, it's about finding that, like that goal, or that, hey, I'm going to do this, and trying to beat your own personal best. Like, did I do better than I did last time? Did I make the right plays? Did I pick? Did I ban? And for me, it's a big mental exercise about myself. I'm not competing against other players when I'm doing RTA or doing dungeons or summoning or anything. I'm competing against myself, and I'm trying to get better myself. And I think that kind of, I know I co-opted my own point onto yours, but I think that there's a lot of similarities there between, just setting a goal and hitting it, I guess. But to circle back to that question of kind of, is there a place, is there a time, is there a progression? When do you think people should start getting into RTA?
I think it's rough because early game, you really want to progress through the game fast, so you can reach a point where you can auto farm most things easily and start having a more passive play style where you can just gain resources very fast. That's when you can start focus on building PvP unit, but that is like the efficient way of playing things. You can start RTA as long as you have like 5-6 star unit and just throw it in and have fun, right?
Yeah.
But it really depends on what do you want to get out of the game. If you want to play PvP fast, you might want to start building PvP unit on the side. But for me, I really think people should only focus on PvP when they have certain teams for TOA, they have certain teams for dungeon running, they can do it fine. And then you can start focusing on building toys that only works in PvP. Like, you build Molong early game, he doesn't help anything in any dungeon whatsoever, but he's a beast in PvP. That's kind of unit that only works in PvP, don't help you in PvE. You need to really think twice about building them. Like Ganny helps you in PvE, like TOA, but Molong doesn't do anything in PvE, for example. Other PvP unit, like let's say, can't really think one out right now. Like, what's a good PvP unit that doesn't do anything in PvE?
I would argue Ciara, but I know a lot of people use bomb teams too in late game. But
yeah, something like that. No, Ciara is not recommended in any team for PvE.
Right? Which, I mean, maybe like Rift, like, but yeah, like for Khan, right? Or I mean, maybe not like DA meta, but what about like Okeanos? Do people use them in Toa? Is OP good enough for Toa?
AoE stun, reset, perfect.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so I mean, there's a bit, but yeah. Okay, we'll go with Rakan. We'll pretend Rakan is meta.
So
RTA.
there are a few of those that Nat 5 that work for PvP, that doesn't work for PvE. You need to think twice about it before building them because you may not have even runes for them. So
Yeah.
I think you should only start doing PvP when you're comfortable with your dungeon team or your TOA runes. Then you don't need to strip them to build a new PvP unit to compete in like guild battle or RTA. Then maybe you can start doing PvP. Because if you do it too early, you're gonna get frustrated from losing to people with better unit anyway.
Yeah.
So what's the point of getting frustrated, right?
Yeah, I mean, and definitely, I think this season for me made a big difference. Like I literally could barely get Fighter 1 in the last seasons, and something clicked. Like I got a couple will runes, I got my rune quality in general went up a little bit, and I know I'm still Fighter 3. You know, like it's nothing, but I'm enjoying it now. I'm actually enjoying my matches and thinking about it and this and that, and something did click for me recently. That kind of that jump between barely like literally qualifying at Fighter 1 and staying there the whole season, compared to this season. I'm at Fighter 3. There's I can see C1 in my future, and I feel like I'm going to continue improving as long as I continue farming and building units. So that makes sense.
I think one of the hard limit should be whether you have will runes or not, or how fast your surf set are, whether you can outspeed people and do things, because in lower rank there's no will runes. So if you can outspeed them with 170 bonus speed but not, then you can start thinking of like getting a little bit higher rank in PvP. But other than that, it's hard. Will rune is a very good limit for people to think about as well. Like you hit the will rune, you start having a couple of them on a couple immunity unit, then you'll be like, okay, they can go first. I can deal with that. Yeah, and you don't get wrecked immediately, so it's not bad. You don't feel sad when you get wrecked because you have will runes.
Exactly. Like you can take the match and go longer than just immediately the match starts and your only DPS or your 2 DPS are stunned and then nuked, and then you're like, why am I even logged in? I'm gonna go to bed, compared to having will and not immediately getting stunned and stuff. I mean, I don't know. You haven't done a lot, Jaren. Are you still there? Do you still hate RTA? How do you feel?
I mean, I'm still there. As far as progression goes, me and Keith have been roughly the same as far as like building our teams and getting rune quality up, and then here recently Keith's really started to pull away, so he's been able to explore a little more than I have. But for me it's just a rune check, and the mindset that I've tried to start having about RTA is not a negative mindset when I lose about how I'm wasting time or whatever, but more along the lines of like, someone out there is always going to be a little faster. They're always going to have a little bit better nuker sets on their monsters, and like I'm going to hit that ceiling eventually, and I just need to enjoy where I'm at, play the PvP, get the rewards from whatever level I'm at, and just enjoy the like you said, the mind exercise of like picking, counter picking, and doing stuff like that. Because at the end of the day, like the average summoners player isn't G1. Like we're not, none of us are going to be up there competing with the best of the best, and so that means by definition that like there's always someone with better rune quality, probably some better units for what you're trying to do, and you can't let that deter you from like having your own fun in the game, right?
Exactly. For me, immediately when I lose, I don't say fuck you, you're violent procs and whatever. I do say that all the time, but in reality, whenever I lose, I immediately think, okay, why did I lose? There are like 10 different reasons. Was I slower? Did I not kill him? Was he too tanky? Was I too swishy? Did I pick wrong? Did I ban wrong? All that thing comes into mind immediately, and then you start adjusting immediately in the next match. Okay, this is why I lose, and this is what I have to do. Because it's very simple. It's not like rocket science, right? It's very easy. If I'm slower, then I need to be faster. If I don't have will runes on this unit and it costs me the match, I put on will runes. That kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah. And I
one
love
thing
that.
Sorry.
Yeah, go on, Jaren. No.
Well, I was going to say one thing that that Keith and I do from time to time, it really helps with like the whole thought exercise is when he's doing RTA or whatever, he'll send me a screenshot of the pick ban phase. and show me whoever he's banned and whoever got banned, and then just ask me if I think he won or lost based on that information alone. And once you start like really kind of digging into it, just seeing the pick ban and looking at that information, like the units that are on each side, like what went wrong in pick ban that cost Keith to lose. And I do it vice versa. Like I said, I don't do as much, so it's from perspective here, but like what went wrong in the pick ban that made Keith lose that one, or what did I see in the pick ban that I was like confident Keith would win that match.
Yeah.
And when you start looking at it from that perspective, without even any of the match to go off of, you really kind of get into seeing like what teams are going to be outsped, what teams are going to be reliant on their CC to work. So, you know, oftentimes, like, especially now, I'm like, okay, well, if you can move first and your Poseidon can attack bar reset anybody without immunity, you just have to hope that their such and such doesn't have immunity and you should be good to go. Like, that'll be a win. And then he'll hit me up and he'll be like, yep, they had Will, I lost. So,
yeah.
You know, stuff like that happens all the time where it's just a really good thought exercise, I think, to kind of see that and be able to take that data and try to apply it and learn something just from that phase alone.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think when I first started playing the game, what I was going to say when I first, I literally like that thought too, because sometimes you'll see things that I didn't, or you'll think I would have won something or lost something, you know, and it is really good. But yeah, something like when I first started playing, I sought out the grindiest mobile game in the world. That's literally like what I typed into Google, and I found Summoner's War. And then I watched like literally. And then I watched like all the videos and all the guides and read all the Reddit stuff. And I remember watching a video. It might have been like YDCB or someone, but just like losing to violent procs and just tilting as hard as possible. You know, I'm sure everyone's had that. You know, every content creator I've ever seen has tilted to violent procs. But I was like telling myself, I'm like, I'm never going to be that guy. I understand that there's RNG in this game. Like, I understand that this isn't a thing. And then like literally just the other day, like I was like fighting this dude, his Perna violented every turn, and like his Feng Yen violented every turn, and then like his Ciara violented every turn, and it was like I tilted really hard against violent procs. So I'm like, okay, I fully understand, you know, like it took me almost 500 days to understand the full tilt to violent procs.
Yeah, but, because you didn't lose because you were bad. You were just unlucky.
Exactly right, because it was just like obscene, and like, you know, I already felt, but at the same time, it's, you know, I mean that's only a very small part. A lot of, you know, what Jaron was saying, and something I've noticed, like a lot of the time people lose RTA matches in the pick ban phase, but also on the point that you made, Sean, like sometimes I'll be like, okay, you know, I don't have an immunity monster. And I was like really considering building Fran, and I was like feeling like I was held back by not having immunity. And then I pulled a Wusa, and I'm like, this is it. I've arrived. I have a Wusa. I can do, and I built my Wusa, and I went into RTA, and then immediately the opponent counterpicked my Wusa, and I'm like, I'm screwed. Like I can't win. I don't know what's happening.
You have another immunity option.
Exactly. And so then, and that was the really funny, like, eye-opening part, is I thought I was gated behind not having an immunity monster, and as soon as I got one, I'm like, this is it. And even I played a few more matches, and I still lost with Wusa, and it was like, okay, pulling this unit didn't make a difference. I still need will runes. I still need to be faster. I still need to have other options. And it's like, I just recently 6-starred Triana, and, you know, have a second. I mean, technically Triana's immunity, I think that, you know, one turn is whatever, she's fine. Triana's a wonderful unit. So, but the point is, yeah, it's like sometimes you'll think you're gated behind, oh, well, I don't have a Molong, how can I compete in RTA? But then I guarantee you, any person who says that and then pulls a Molong isn't immediately going to like be G1. You know, it's like pulling a unit isn't going to make the difference. You have to tweak and work on all the different pieces and see it for what it is, and then compare yourself to before. How did I do this season versus last? How did I do last time I fought, you know, this comp or this guy or this, you know, and you kind of. Yeah, I mean, you build up and you build your confidence and you have fun with it. But I think that, you know, I mean, do you think that there are any like fundamental flaws with RTA? Is there anything that you wish they would change, that they would make more accessible? Or do you think like, I mean, I know this recent patch, pre-balance patch, changed like the tiers where C1 is lower and like points are lower and they readjusted. I mean, do you think that matters very much as far as enjoyment or accessibility to players, or are there things that you wish they would do, or do you think it's pretty balanced? What do you think about that?
I enjoy RTA. I think it's fun. It's where the competitiveness is, and it's where you fight real people and not AI. So it's definitely fun, and the increase in how many people can get Conquer and Guardian and the small little rewards for people lower rank is definitely encouraging for everyone to join RTA. But they are not, I think they are very scared of making an actual effort to make people play RTA due to having that one event right off the start of RTA long time ago, where they have this small little event to make people play RTA, and people were very upset about it because like, screw this shit, it's so stress and I don't want to do this. So their mindset right now is like, okay, I will never make you play RTA. You play it if you want it. So no rewards, no progression related rewards for RTA. All this cosmetic, right? But I think when they do that, then a lot of people just like, no, nope. Not gonna ever touch this thing, because what's the point? I don't need cosmetics.
Yeah, but I think. Sorry. Go on. I think you still have more to say. Sorry about that.
Shit, I lost.
Okay. All right. If it comes back, I know I cut you off, but what do you think about like a minimum reward? Like, even if you lose, you get 1 token or something.
I talk about it to them. They say that, this is going to encourage farming even more, because people purposely lose 15 matches a day just to farm the other 15 matches in like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So if I get rewards for farming now, hell yeah, I'm going to farm even more. So it's going to put the frustration down to the fighter people who have to fight. This guy is definitely Conqueror, enable with that skin on,
Right. Well, and
I guess that makes sense.
Forgive me too for not knowing, but are there limits like there are in guild related rewards as well, like 3 mysticals a week or whatever the arbitrary reward is?
Yeah, they're limited.
Okay.
And you're limited by 30 wings a day, and a bunch of other things too.
Sure. Yeah, but people farming with refreshes and whatnot can kind of do that.
I've had that thought, not to encourage it, but like, it'll be 20 minutes till server reset, and I'm like, maybe I should just go tank my RTA rating so I can win all my matches. Use these wings today anyway. And then the hilarious part is occasionally late at night, but right before reset, I'll go to play RTA matches, and everyone will just be conceding matches to me, and I'll like shoot up. I'll shoot up from like, around like 1250 to like 1350 rank from like literally not playing a match because no one will play at that hour. Like, they're all conceding their matches. But I mean, I don't know. I feel like balancing wise, I think that it's kind of a cop out. Like, that they could easily make it like, hey, if you're conceding matches over and over again, then you can't RTA for like 24 hours or something. You concede 5 matches in a row, or I don't know, whatever. I'm not a game developer. That's their job. But like, I feel like something could happen to A, deter people from farming, but B, make people feel like, hey, even if I go in there and I lose every match, I get 1, reward or 2 reward, tokens, and after 3 days I get a mystical scroll, or I can still slowly farm up. Because I think that people have that misconception that they're going to go in there and they're going to lose every match, when in reality you should settle at a point where you're winning and losing about 50% of your matches. You should win about 15 a day as like a really average player, and if you're climbing, you're going to win more. But
right. Well, and to take your point about those people who farm too, and kind of turn it on itself, to those of you out there scared to play RTA, I get a lot of my wins from people who are tanking their rank. So there are rewards, and you can win. Take it from me.
You can, even if you do nothing, you can win RTA matches.
You can
in low rank.
Yes.
But that's something that I wonder, like, do you think there's like a threshold, like if you were to get to C1, you wouldn't run into people who had downranked, or is it prolific? Like, do you find G1s and C1 sometimes who have downranked?
All type of people downrank, man, because it's so stressful to fight real people in your rank, and they are as good as you, and it's a battle of luck half the time. It's stressful. You want to fight people with like shitty monsters and shitty runes, and you just trash at them with your Molong, getting hearts, or auto pick, right? Like, you can do nothing and win in lower rank, so you will do it.
Yeah.
Because that's just easy. That's an easy way out. You don't want to actually fight, because Summoners War at the end of the day is a passive mobile game. It didn't plan to be a competitive mind game like this. So a lot of people who join Summoners are because they want to have something to auto farm on the side. So they want to have the same feeling with RTA where they don't have to put so much effort in and still get some little rewards out of it. So I'll farm, with that mindset. I'll farm for sure.
That makes sense. I mean, yeah, and I mean literally for me, like I played idle games for a while before Summoners War. Those were like my precursor to Summoners War. It was like, idle games that would just be on my phone happening all the time. And Summoners War, I wouldn't really consider it an idle game, but people have a lot of idle game play within the game. But man, those people that you just mentioned that like they start the RTA match and then they don't look at their phone and it like auto picks through and they're like they've got the Guardian wings and they're in fighter, like those people are
they know they're gonna win.
Yeah, I don't want to quit, but also I'm like, man, this match is gonna take 5 minutes. Yeah, like it's like, you know what I mean? It's the worst feeling to run into one of those guys who's just AFK. Like, he doesn't care. He's never gonna look at his phone.
The worst part, the AFK, but they picked on the last second. Oh, I know you there, bitch. I know you there.
It's literally the worst. Like, there's some awful parts, but I mean, I don't know. I think that I think it's really nice actually that Jaren doesn't like RTA right now, because I know with like his progression and where he's at, in 1 or 2 months he's going to be talking about how much fun he's having in RTA. Well, and it'll be really nice to like
while we're on the subject, I did pull Amelia yesterday. Pretty pumped.
Yes. Oh, welcome to RTA.
Yeah. Seriously, like she's incredible. Like anytime
the best immediate unit. Okay.
Yeah, 100%. She's so strong, and like I can't wait to see. And you have the fire pony. You have like a bunch of stuff that like I can't wait for you to 6-star for RTA and like actually get out there and use it. It's gonna be incredible.
I also have Helena, a good RTA unit. I have Chow and Leica. I know that they have some decent pick rates. So yeah, I've got some decent units, that I'm looking to start.
Do you have any healer at all?
Yeah,
you need something to gel your team together. No, not that thing. That thing is trash in RTA.
Yeah, I know. I don't think I have a decent RTA healer. Well, actually, I take it back.
Triana?
Yeah, I was gonna say I have Triana sitting in storage. I mean, 4-star level 1 and mess with Triana.
When I see people pick in lower rank, I realize that people don't have that one unit that just gel everything together.
Yeah.
You mentioned a lot of top tier at 5, but they don't work together. You need that one missing link, whether it be immunity or attack bar booster to set up for things to actually work. Because most of the time, this is the trap that people fall in, is that people try to counter pick everything on the other side, but they don't pick for themselves. So they end up with a bunch of weird shit together that don't actually work together, but supposed to counter the enemy. But enemy team works together because they have a plan. You're just trying to countering one part of the plan once at a time, and you end up with a bunch of, not really anything work together. So I think one of the way to pick easily is to have a predetermined team-ish strategy you want to do, and have like 1 or 2 counter pick at most. So at least you end up with something that works together, and you're gonna do what you want to do, at least.
Right.
I like that.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. Because people also fall into the trap. I'm a victim, and I know Keith tries to stay out of this mindset, but it's always if I had this unit, I'd do X. If I had this unit, I could do X or Y or Z or whatever. You know what I mean? Like feeling like, and I think Keith kind of touched on it earlier, but for me right now, it's like, man, if I had Shayna, I could have Speed Dragons team, and I'm sure that's not the only thing stopping me from having a Speed Dragons team, but the barrier of entry would be a little lower. So it's not always just about Shayna either. Like I have the Wind Boomerang. I don't think I'm gonna pair Zenobia with Shayna for a Speed Dragons team, right? Like,
well, the nice thing compared, RTA compared to Dragons or Dungeons is, that's another human being over there, and you're kind of playing poker with them, and sure, everyone just picks Ganny or Molong first or whatever, Ganny, Molong, Wusa, but what you pick shapes what your opponent picks, and if it doesn't, then you automatically have an advantage picking a set team. And otherwise, like, you can pick, if that like you have like your DPS is fire threats, right? Then you might want to start early picking water or something. And I mean, this is basic, elementary strategy from Fighter 3 here, but you could pick water, and then they're suddenly picking, they're picking wind or air. Why, what? Wind, air? Why did I forget what it's called in the game? And then I know what fire is, and then you can pick your like fire DPS or your fire threats after or whatever. But like the point is like you can push and shove and nudge your opponent, into picking in a way that you can beat, even if you only have like, hey, I only have a team that can beat these certain teams. Well, force your opponent to pick that team, and choose your pick order and figure out exactly what you do if they counterpick or this or that. But that's the nice thing about RTA is there's a method to people's madness, but there's also like that human element where you can force people or trick people into picking things that aren't very advantageous. You can trick them into picking a team that's light on DPS, and then you ban their armor breaker, or whatever it is. If you have a sustain team or if you have a control team, you can counter pick like common immunity and then make them pick an immunity that's like less strong, and you can counter it. Or there's a bunch of different counterplay in RTA where like a dungeon, like it makes sense to be hung up on a Shayna because like twins enable every PvE content in the game, but there's no one unit in RTA, not even like Ragdoll, that just enables you to be good and win. It's a whole huge combo of strategy and cohesive teams and runes and everything like that. So that's why RTA is really interesting to me.
And if they pick a Ragdoll against you, you just counterpick with Asima, right? And you just cleave it.
You ban Ragdoll and they pick a Yan Hong, and then that's nerfed now too. So I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure. Asima is I don't know if you know, Sean, but I have Asima. It's my only LND Nat 5.
Yeah, she's awesome.
She's cool. Like she does some cool cleave stuff. But I put too much faith in her in this last RTA season, and I put like really good Violent Will set on her. And then like I went back and I looked at all my matches, and basically like 90% of the matches I picked Asima, I lost. So
Asima. When do you pick Asima? Tell me.
I usually pick her when the opponent doesn't have immunity, and when I'm able to ensure that she's going to get to move. Is basically like the thought. And then the only other piece that I pay attention to is if I pick Asima, I like would kind of see her in that role of like, okay, she will be able to get an armor break for me. So then I could pick like Leica or, a DPS without, a DPS unit without an armor break itself, basically is the thought. But mainly if I can ensure that they don't have immunity, then Asima should be able to do really well. But I found that she's really only good if I'm able to actually ensure like a cleave, like a full cleave. Otherwise, she's been really rough for me. But it's probably rune quality. Well, when would you pick her? What are your thoughts on her?
I would never pick Asima outside of the very last pick. That is when I get second pick, and the last pick belongs to me, the very last pick. Mm-hmm. So that is when I can assure whether they have double immunity or not. If they have one immunity, I ban that thing. And they will also have to ban my Asima, else they're gonna suffer from all the dots on armor break I can do, right? And I must have will on her because I will never be able to ensure that first turn protection or whatever, just in case they ban my immunity and leave my Asima in, and they're gonna do like OT reset or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So I only pick Asima when I have the very, very last pick. It's the same as Rika pick, Varad pick, or any form of CC pick out there that doesn't bring a strip mechanic to it. That's why Molong is a very safe first pick because he strip and CC. But if you can only CC, you're only allowed to have that unit in the last pick, or else they're gonna just counter it with 2 immunity, and you'll be like, oh, my Asima does nothing now.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I've run into that for sure, and that sounds like the same theory I've been trying to apply, but not 100% of the time. But yeah, I mean, she does have will. She can do cool stuff, but also like the thing I think in RTA, I felt like she was really strong on Violent, because if she like Violent procced after, like if she does her S3, she armor breaks everyone, throws all those dots, and then she was doing like her S2, like she could basically cleave the entire NAV team by herself. And that was really, really fun. But now I've got her on like Despair because I put my best runes on Shayna, and it's all this. I don't know. I'm not sure how much I'm going to prioritize her, but
well, yeah, and I know you've been like using her for Toa too, so it's not like he threw it on Despair for RTA. Like he's got a fantastic Toa team with Asima, Gani, Poseidon, some good units there. So she has a lot of dots.
I hope Poseidon becomes just. I know he won't because I keep trying to use Poseidon as, and I can't get like the CC cycling going with Poseidon compared to like a Hathor. But maybe the 2-turn silence is all I need for Poseidon to be the next CC go-to in RTA. We'll see with these changes, I guess.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Okay, so Sean, I have a couple like maybe more rapid fire questions. I know we're kind of running a little long and probably coming toward the end here, but I'm going to look through this list, maybe 2 or 3, not rapid fire, but just like, you can give a quick answer. You don't have to.
I have a quick one while you look that over.
Yeah.
So would you ever consider 24-hour stream?
No, never.
Good answer.
Unless I'm paid to, and must be a lot.
I love that answer because
no, never.
Staying up
I can never last
so.
longer than 6 hours. I'll die. My longest was 10 hours, and I was dying in the last 2 hours. It was torturing. So never.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense. That's fair. What do you got, Keith?
All right. So, what's your favorite monster in game?
Change from time to time. Currently, it's still Josephine. Best CC, anti-CC, everything in one kit. Perfect unit.
Yeah. She seems. Does she have a strip on her S1?
Yes, strip into provoke. 100% chance activation rate.
She's super strong. I keep watching people play with her, and I'm like, yeah, that's a wonderful monster.
Can I have a Josephine? Is that something you could make happen, Sean? Can you give me a Josephine?
What?
I'll
boy, let me call someone real quick. Hey, come to us.
So I'm sure you have plenty of dupes. Like, what dupe did you summon that hurt the most?
I think it was a random chow. It was like I was buying breakfast, and my ex-girlfriend was just like, "Hey, let me do summon." And then I'm like, "Okay, if you don't get Nat 5, I won't give you the breakfast I'm buying." And then she's like, "Oh, lightning! Boom! Hey, it's a chow! It's a dupe chow! Congrats!" I'm like, you're not getting breakfast.
Oh yeah.
See, it was so traumatizing that he remembered everything about that moment.
Because it was from Summoning Stone. There was a Zyros and Ethna, which I don't have.
Oh
my god! Ouch. Oh my god! What is it?
Yeah.
It's a good chow. What do you mean?
Man, that's rough. Yeah, I only have one dupe, but it's a Rocky. I have 2 Rockies, and I haven't built either yet because, and this is going back into an actual subject, but all of my DPS for RTA are fire threats. Like, I have Leica, I have Rakan, I have Tessarian, and there's no possible way I'm going to build Rocky with all of those. I know Rocky has a different place with like anti-revive, but it feels bad. I need to start focusing on non-fire threats. But my Rocky dupe.
Have you heard of Theomars?
He was talking to me about that actually before we got on with you. He was like, I think the next unit I just need to build is going to be Theomars. Like, it just makes the most sense. He's like, I've been shit on so many times by Theo as it is. I don't know why I haven't built him yet. And I was like, wait, I thought you 6-starred your Theo. This shows you how like behind I am on like progression myself. But I was like, I thought you 6-starred him already. He was like, oh yeah, he's 6-starred. He just, he's max. He just doesn't have any runes on him.
He's 6-star and fully skilled, but he's on like trash runes. And I literally had this epiphany yesterday. Like, I need to build Theomars. But
how can one not have a Theomar?
I mean, he's just like I have one. Okay, I have one.
He's like that shirt that you wear all the time, but it looks good in application, like a black shirt.
Yeah,
that's fair.
Now, personally, when I say I'm gonna build a monster, it means like it's sitting 4-star unawakened in my storage, and I'm like, time to 6-star max and put some skill ups in it. Like, that's what building means to me, because I very rarely do that. Where he's got so many 6-stars now compared to me anyway.
So many, man.
What are you like
33 or 34? So
I have like almost 200.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. Well, you've been playing since the start, right? You've been playing for 4 years.
Yeah. Like, when you start making YouTube videos, oh boy, I need to 6-star my 3-star. I don't know.
What's the worst 6-star you ever? What's like the most regretful 6-star you've ever made?
Oh, so many, man. So many. Can't even say. I
Okay.
don't know.
That's fair.
And
I'll have to look through. I'm sure you've got some painful ones, but
there's so many that I use once for video just to show people how shit he is, and then it's like, oh, next.
yeah. I mean, I feel like eventually I'll probably 6-star something that I don't want to, but I feel like I'd at least have to have like a plan or strategy to 6-star something. Like this could work this way, and then it doesn't. But
let's say Adrian, the archer guy. Oh, this is gonna be so good for Necro. I'm like, I 6-star and used it for like 2 days. I'm like, didn't make any improvement to my team.
Oh yeah, mine's like 5-star awakened, like level 1 sitting in storage. I gave up.
Oh my god, awaken! You wasted 15 magic minutes.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't.
Yikes.
I kind of want to just feed him, but I also, you know, I wasted those essences. So
you can get him like in the next summer. Don't worry about it.
Speaking about feeding, have you ever fed anything on accident? I know in the first cast, Jaren talked about feeding Devilmon to a 1-star.
Yes. Oh, that I did that too on Arena for sure. Everyone did that once on Arena. If you played 4 years ago, and I fed, I think a Ramagos at 5-star awaken max level. I was about to 6-star him, but I fed him accidentally, and I fed away I think 2 legendary energy HP rune. I was just like 2 weeks later, I was trying to find this rune that I have that's so good, but where is it?
Yeah,
and then I'm like, wait, where's my Ramagos?
That's so brutal. I didn't think about feeding a monster with runes on it. That's crazy.
Yeah, that would hurt. That would hurt for sure. Oh my goodness.
Where's my rune? Where's my Ramagos?
I mean, I had a small moment like just the other day. I had my wife summon for me. I think it might be good luck, so I try it every now and then, see what happens. And I got lightning. It was a good moment. And it was one of those, I used my blessing of summons, I think, for the Nat 4s, whatever that one's called. And I got a Soha and a fire, or not a Soha, sorry, the Fire Ninetales and the Fire Sylphid. And I was so pissed off because I got a lightning and got to pick between 2 that I already had. And I was like, just pick one, pick whatever. And she picked the Fire Sylphid. And so now I've got 3 Fire Sylphids sitting in storage. And then I sat up. Yeah, well, I sat up all night thinking about it. And I was like, what if one day I build a Rang? And now I don't have that skill up anymore.
Oh my god!
Because I let her pick. And I was like, "This is bad. Like, why did I do that?"
So free now.
Oh, man. That's funny, dude. Yeah, but I honestly don't think I've ever fed anything on accident. Not to sound cocky. It'll happen to me now. But I really I fed my Lapis because Shredded Puzzle told me it was a good idea.
What?
Yeah, I've told this story before, but basically I was following Shredded Puzzle along. Like right when I started, he had made a new account and was like, new account progression. And then basically I'm watching Shredded Puzzle's video and I'm like, oh yeah, like I just used Vermos, like I need to 6-star my Vermos. And Shredded Puzzle's like, yeah, like I'm probably gonna feed my Lapis to my Vermos to 6-star it. Like she's useless, she's a crappy monster. And like this was right before the buff.
Shredded Puzzle say Lapis is bad?
Yeah, and so this was before the buff, right? But basically I fed my Lapis.
Okay, that makes sense.
And then one like day, I swear it was the day before, like the patch notes came out, and then Shredded Puzzle's like, yeah, I'm glad I didn't feed my Lapis. And I'd already fed it to 6-star my Vermos. And I was like, I said this before, I immediately like unsubscribed and like refused to watch a Shredded Puzzle video to this day. Like, and I know he's not, making videos anymore, but I was I was all on board the Shredded Puzzle train until I, on his advice, fed my Lapis. But yeah, that's it. That's the worst thing I've ever fed.
I fed mine too before I was worried about progression and whatnot. And I was playing the game because my uncle showed it to me. And I can actually tell you where my Lapis went. It is the reason that I have a 5-star Trevor. I did use him to 5-star my Trevor, and it was awakened, max skilled already, but I was desperate for a 5-star, and I pulled Trevor. Yeah, Trevor was like my first lightning actually, and I was like super super pumped to have a DPS that was from lightning, and he did actually do really good work.
Yeah, he enabled your first Giants team or something, right? If I remember.
He did, yeah. My first GB10, I used Trevor, and he took out those pesky towers for me.
Oh, wow, edgy fire unit.
Really, extremely.
Yeah. So now Trevor sits in storage with the remains of my Lapis. So,
All right. Well,
later on.
I think that's, yeah. I mean, Trevor will eventually, he'll have his time. You'll get the transmog him, and he'll be your number one. You'll set him as your rep monster. But yeah, I think that's about it. Jaren, do you have any final questions, thoughts? Anything?
No, I think that pretty much covered it. I guess one final question, Sean, is do you enjoy your time hanging out with me and Keith here tonight?
Yeah,
today,
it was fun.
This morning. I know it's morning for you, but
10 over 10 would do it again.
All right,
Sweet,
well,
man.
Good to hear, because next week we're going to be doing this same... No, I'm just kidding.
Wait, that's way too fun, bro. Hold up.
Yeah. Well, we would definitely love to have you back in the future, but we'll give you a break. I think Mystery Hunt might come on. I don't know if you watch his stuff, but he's
yeah, good dude.
Yeah, I'm like, actually, I accidentally this is the first time I'm admitting this out loud. I basically accidentally like plagiarized his thumbnails for my first 2 videos without realizing it. I'm like, these thumbnails look really familiar, and then I like saw Mystery Hunt, and I'm like, I'm using the same colors as him, so I've changed that now. But I like him. He's a good dude. But really, honestly, Sean, like I really appreciate you coming on and like giving us your perspective on everything. I think you had some really good points. I've learned a lot from you, honestly. Like, this podcast is my demographic. I would like 100% be listening to this, learning, from your tips and the, your mindset about RTA and, kind of just everything. You're a pretty awesome dude, and we really appreciate you being on here.
No problem, man.
Yeah, and we'd love to have you back in the future. We'll, especially if you've got something cool going on, let us know, and otherwise we'll reach out to you, a bit later. But man, yeah, I think this went really well. I think we hopefully have given people a little bit of insight into, 3 different people and 3 different levels of RTA's perspective and kind of the mindset that needs to go into it. And then, also, giving people an idea of like who you are as a person and a content creator. So, my only ask would be just, keep making content, man. Like I really like it. I watch all your videos. I know that I'm not the only one. Obviously, you have, tons of people out there liking your stuff, and I really appreciate you taking the time to come on our cast.
No problem, man. If you want a super end game RT perspective that from a well-spoken guy, you can contact Hua, not Hua, okay?
Okay.
HWA. He stream on Twitch sometimes, and he's super well-spoken with all his idea and stuff, and very end game RTA, has everything that he has. Just very good perspective. I learned a lot from him.
Great. Yeah. I mean, definitely. And I'd love to have as many people on here that we can talk to, but, I guess it's a matter of how appealing we are. That's what I really appreciate is like, we're brand new, I mean, we have 30 subscribers on YouTube, and you've taken the time, you've taken, over an hour of your time to come and talk to us and, give us your opinions and ideas and thoughts and support us. And, I really appreciate that. So yeah, we'll reach out to more people. We'll try and get as many interviews as possible. But I agree, man. That's it. That thought trailed off.
Yeah.
No worries, man. I have fun.
Yeah, but thanks for coming for sure, and to all the listeners too. Like he heard it. He didn't advertise it necessarily, so here's a shameless plug. We're gonna have Mystery Hunt on the show, hopefully sometime here soon. We don't have an official date yet set on when we're going to be able to get that done, but he's agreed to come on, so just be looking out for that here in the future too. And
and overall, guys, like the cast is going great. Show as much love to Seanb as you possibly can. He's obviously been wonderful, and you guys are listening to him take his time and give us his advice. So show him as much love as you can. But as a whole, we really appreciate all the support the cast has been getting. We're going to continue doing these weekly and continue trying to make videos and guides and stuff in the middle. And we're going to keep getting content out there for you. But that's all from me. I really appreciate, everyone who tunes into the cast, and Seanb for being our first guest, and, Jaren for, showing up and dealing with all our sound issues and everything. So
yeah,
that's it for me. If you want to say anything, Jaren, or you, Sean, then, close it out.
Yeah, no.
All right, that's all for me too, guys.
Yeah, thanks. And we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.